Hello and welcome back to another episode of Math with Son. Today we are going to be writing polynomial equations given some zeros. So let's get into it. So if your zeros are 3, -2, and 5, you could write a polynomial equation first off that needs to start with y equals or f of x or g of x equals. And then you just write it in factored form, which would end up being x minus 3, x plus 2, and x minus 5. It is that simple. Now, the reason it says an equation is because we don't know if this is facing up. We don't know if it's positive in front. We don't know if it's a 1/3 in front. We don't know anything about what's in front, but we do have an equation that would give those zeros. Okay? So some answer choices, leave it like this. Other answer choices, FOIL it out, which I will be doing at the end of the video because the next few problems will require a little bit more thinky than this. Okay? So the next problem that I'm going to be doing is if the zeros were, let's say 2/3 and 4. If the zeros were 2/3, most of the time, you were not going to write x minus 2/3. That is not an okay thing, and then x minus 4. So most of the time, you're just not going to do that. Even though that is a correct answer, most textbooks would put the 3 in front of the x and leave it like this, okay? Which, again, you could FOIL it out, and I'll be doing some of the foiling at the end of the video, but that takes a lot of time and is not really the emphasis of this type of thing. So, again, this could be FOILed out, 3x times both and 2 times both. We're not going to do that yet, because we got some even harder questions as well. So, if your zeros include imaginary things, and we have to write the equation with that, you start with the x plus 2. If a zero is 3i, that would be x minus 3i. And if you ever have a zero that is imaginary, or complex for that matter, it always comes in pairs, and normally they only give you one of the numbers for no reason at all. If you have a zero that is 3i, you also got a zero that is going to end up being -3i. The textbooks normally don't provide that one. You have to have that foresight to be able to write it. Not only that, but normally when you have this type of problem, you are going to be required to FOIL it out because nobody in their right mind is going to leave an imaginary factored thing like this. So we're going to FOIL this out. X times both would be x squared minus 3ix, which is ugly. Oh, it's plus. X times positive 3 is positive 3ix. -3 times x is -3ix. And then -3 times positive 3 is -9, and then I squared. If you have done it correctly, that middle part will cancel out. Hooray. And then we're left with x plus 2 times x squared. -9 times I squared is -1, makes this positive 9. Okay? And then from here, you may see some textbooks continue to FOIL it out, so I'm going to do that real quick so we get some practice before we move on to the hardest and last question. If we FOILed that, we would have x to the third, see, we need practice, plus 9x, plus 2x squared, and then plus 18, which would be written as x to the third, plus 2x squared, plus 9x, plus 18. I think for my students, I am going to have them stop here, because this is just too much work. It's not really the emphasis of what I think that entire section's about, but it is something that is required, so I'm showing it. All right, last one. This one's a doozy. It's normally found in honors classes. It is also found in definitely college classes when your zero is something like 2 plus 3i, okay? The conjugate to that, the opposite, the other version of that, is not -2, it's still positive 2, but it'd be minus 3i. So this would be the other zero that is not provided, and that is because if we were writing it, it would be written as 2 plus or minus 3i, which here's the positive, there's the negative. That's what it would be written as if we were writing our solutions. So let's do this. This is going to be fun. Change the sign. X minus 4. Easy. X minus the quantity of 2 minus 3i and x minus the quantity of 2 plus 3i. So when we distribute the negative on both of these, it's going to turn into x minus 4, x minus 2 plus 3i, and x minus 2 minus 3i, which is not going to be fun, to say the least, to FOIL this out, because no textbook in their right mind or answer key in their right mind would leave this as the answer choice. Now, I do want to emphasize that this one right here, the minus 3i, was that one. I just wrote them in flip-flopped order accidentally. So this minus one is right here, and that plus one is right there. All right. In order to FOIL this out, you must, well, you don't have to, but I highly, highly recommend you FOIL the imaginary parts out first. So we are going to do x times all 3 terms, which would be x squared minus 2x minus 3ix, and then negative 2 times all 3 terms, which would be negative 2x plus 4 plus 6i. And then 3i times all 3 terms would be plus 3ix minus 6i. And then minus 9, oh, it's off the screen, minus 9i squared. It gets long, to say the least, and there's still an x minus 4 in front that we haven't even dealt with yet. So, combine any like terms that we got. So if we combine some like terms, we got x squared with no other x squareds. Lame. Negative 2x and negative 2x makes negative 4x. Negative 3ix and positive 3x are going to cancel out. 4 has no friends yet, but it will. 6i and negative 6i cancel. Negative 9 times negative 1 makes positive 9. And if we add that positive 9 with this positive 4, we end up with plus 13. And that is multiplied with the x minus 4. Whew! From here, I would ask my students to be complete, but I'm sure that at some point I'm going to require them to FOIL it out as well. If we multiply the x times all 3, you get x to the third minus 4x squared plus 13x. And then the negative 4 times all 3. Negative 4 times x squared is negative 4x squared. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16x. And negative 4 times 13 is a number. That's negative 52. Here, the 4x squareds don't cancel out, which they don't have to. The only time they do is when you're multiplying by the change the sign in the middle, the conjugate. X to the third minus 8x squared. 13 and 16 makes 29x, and then minus 52. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an equation that would have contained those zeros from the beginning. I think I've had enough for this one, but if you wanted me to do an example with these where I FOIL these out as well, I do have some other videos that go over it, but I will do that and make another video if it looks like we have some appeal in the comment section. But otherwise, I will see y'all in the next one. Stay positive, my friends. I will see y'all later. Bye.